We're back on NFL Live. Glad you're with us. And here's a look at Mel Kiper Jr.'s latest mock draft. It dropped today. Go check the whole thing out. But check out this. His second of two quarterbacks going off the board in round one. Mel has Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson going to the Steelers at 21st overall. I love it. We'll dive into it in moments. But first, Steelers GM Omar Khan spoke earlier today about what he's looking for in the Steelers' next QB.
Like all the fans, we're all searching for the next franchise, player. This guy's going to be our quarterback for 10 to 15 years, and, it might be Will. We don't know. We're excited to work with Will. We have to find the right quarterback that's going to be an AFC North quarterback. Playing in the AFC North, there's nothing like it. The cold weather, the rivalries, the division, the physicality of the division. So it's got to be a AFC North quarterback. The door's open to have Aaron back. I've had conversations with him. I spoke to him last week. Mike McCarthy spoke to him, and right now we're proceeding. He's a free agent and he's not on the roster. So, but he knows how we feel about him.
Okay. Hey, by the way, little travel issue will not stop our man Matt Miller from joining us. He's there in Indy. We'll see you there soon, Matt, and thanks for being with us. Welcome in. A lot to unpack there from Con. Mel, I want to start with you. Do you think Ty Simpson is an AFC North type quarterback, as Con puts it? Because that's a very specific description of a QB.
Sounds like he wants to bring back Big Ben Roethlisberger is what I sense there, but they're not going to happen. That's the thing about Ty Simpson. He's not, 6'5". He's not 250 pounds. He's 6'2". He's about 210 to 215. Is that enough? And I think you look back into history, I'm not going to go back into the 60s and 70s for Lewis, but I'll talk about quarterbacks that have had success in cold weather areas. And I'll go right to Tom Brady up in New England. Then had the big time arm. 10 Super Bowls, 7 wins, right? You go to the Cleveland Browns with Brian Sipe and Bernie Kosar. Did a great job there. Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. So you don't have to have that. You'd like to. Ty Simpson everybody looked great in the Dome, right? If you want, it's where you want to play. Josh would love to play in the Dome. But the bottom line is for Ty Simpson, his arm strength is good enough. I like Mac Jones as a comp. Matt Miller's the comp king. You look at Mac Jones, I think he's more athletic. I think he's faster. He's more of a dual threat. He's had 15 starts. Mac Jones only had 17 starts. Mac Jones had a good start to his career, fell back. Now he's reestablished himself. So, Matt, to me, he's worthy of being the 21st pick. I think he's in play for the Jets. I know Lewis thinks he'll go before 21, but if he's there at 21, I got to believe the Steelers think long and hard about Ty Simpson.
I think they'll think long and hard about him, Mel, but I do not think he's an AFC North type quarterback. I think if that is what they're looking for, that is Will Howard. That is someone like Malik Willis, who is a free agent from the Green Bay Packers and will be commanding big money on the market this year. But looking at Ty Simpson, you mentioned it, 6'2", and we'll see this week if that's true or not, if he's legitimately 6'2", or if he's going to be a little bit smaller than that. 208 pounds is what Alabama listed him at. The things that you love about Ty Simpson are poise, processing speed, and accuracy. But that fell off over the last 6 games of the year after his arm got banged up, after the offensive line in front of him started to struggle. So when I look at Pittsburgh, to me this feels like a team that's maybe pressing again at quarterback like they did when they drafted Kenny Pickett in the 20s. I don't know if any of us had Pickett ranked that highly, but they still took him there. And now, just a couple years later, they're still looking for that elusive franchise quarterback. So as much as I like Ty Simpson, I would like to see what they have in Will Howard because I think he better fits the division.
Yeah, look, I'm not someone who's going to get – look, I have a lot of respect for Omar Khan. He's been in the Steelers organization for a long time. He's lived in Pittsburgh for a long time. He's seen a lot of games. Okay, his head coach right now, Mike McCarthy, he coached a guy in Green Bay named Aaron Rodgers who came from Cal. Okay, and he played in Green Bay and ripped it up. So, when they were sitting up there in Green Bay, were they sitting there thinking, is Aaron Rodgers a Green Bay, Wisconsin quarterback? What does that even mean necessarily? Look, I think this. Look, I like Will Howard. I don't like Will Howard as much as Ty Simpson. I don't even think they're in the same stratosphere as far as their ability to throw the football. I think that Ty Simpson is a guy who right now, based upon how the season ended, and we've talked about it a lot, and we're going to talk about it a lot more, based upon how the latter half of his season went, which wasn't all on him. The guy was banged up. The offensive line is very inconsistent. The running game is non-existent, and the wide receiver core is up or down from week to week. And then he turns it around in the playoffs against Oklahoma and brings his team back from a 17-point deficit. He's tailor-made for Mike McCarthy's system, and Mike has coached some good quarterbacks. It'll be interesting to see what their evaluation of him is. I don't think he's a reach at 21. And yeah, Mel, I do think he's going to go before that.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah, Ty Simpson's going to be a big topic of conversation there in Indy for sure, and we'll see what ends up happening if the Steelers end up doing it. All right, we've got more coming your way here when it comes to many people speaking around the league. New on NFL Live, Duke Tobin met with the media just moments ago.
I've been doing this a long time. I've never not been all in. We are all in. We are trying to get the best team possible with the resources we have. Last year we went all in. We signed over $400 million worth of contracts going all in. That's what we do. We want to be all in. We're trying to put the best roster together every year, and this year is no different.
Okay, the Bengals GM, so maybe if that's true, good news for Joe Burrow. Lewis, what do you make of what you heard from Tobin?
I don't know, Laura. I really am at a loss for words sometimes when we're talking about the Bengals, as far as, and when teams use the vernacular like we're all in. Yeah, I get it. They've spent a lot of money. There's no question about that. They have committed resources to this offensive line. They just have not been able to get the kind of mileage and the kind of production out of it that they want. They committed resources to the wide receiver position, and Joe Burrow, I think obviously that's a slam dunk. On the defensive side, there's some kind of disconnect, though, from the evaluation and selection phase to the development and implementation phase. Somehow they're not getting the right guys for the coaches that they have, and the coaches aren't pulling out, the best out of these guys in the way in which they may be projected when they were sitting there picking them and drafting them on draft day. They got to get better at it. It's as simple as that. There is no magic player out there right now that I think is just going to turn around the Bengals' fortunes, in particular on the defensive side, although I do love the mocking of Reuben Bain Jr. to the Cincinnati Bengals at 10. I really like that pick because Reuben has been coached by the very best in Jason Taylor. Reuben proved his worth at the college level. I think he's a can't-miss prospect. But who knows once you get to Cincinnati? Who knows what's going to happen, especially with their defensive players? They haven't had a lot of luck.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, you should be all in every year, but it's been much harder for them to draft when they're winning. It's easy to draft when you have the number 1 overall pick and Joe Burrow is there. It's easy to draft when you have the number 5 overall pick and Jamar Chase is sitting there. It got much more complicated once they started winning. So now we see them back in the top 10, and I'm with you, Lewis. I think this pick has to be on defense, whether it's Reuben Bain Jr. from Miami, maybe David Bailey from Texas Tech finds his way down the board to them at 9. Maybe it's even in the secondary where we have Caleb Downs, the safety who Mel has going number 2 overall today to the New York Jets. Jermod McCoy, the corner from Tennessee, and Mansour Delane, the corner from LSU, are going to be in the mix as well as top 10 picks. So this is one of those years where, again, it feels like Cincinnati has to go defense or bust. But like you said, they have drafted these positions, Miles Murphy, Shamar Stewart, and they're not getting the production from these guys. So I do think they have to kind of have that come to Jesus moment between the front office and the coaching staff of, we're giving you the resources, but we're not getting the development, we're not getting the production. So where is that disconnect that you mentioned? That's something they have to figure out no matter where they're picking in the first round, and really no matter who they pick with this selection.
Yeah, it's a good point. And when you think of some of the names that you guys are listing there, Reuben Bain, I mean, if that guy doesn't get the coaching that he needs and the situation that he needs, it's going to be a darn shame because there's so much talent, especially on the defensive side, and a player like that deserves the best. We'll see if the Bengals take that opportunity. All right, coming up, after a down year in Kansas City, here